Hey friend, Roger Christofferson here again with another first listen review. And the album that I'm about to babble about today, I was very excited about when I first heard about this, and I'm talking about 3 Days Grace. And the reason I was excited about this one is because it's the return of Adam Gontier. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's French, and I don't speak French, so hopefully I said that right. But this is one of these bands that when this style of music first started being played like years ago, my children were very young, and they were into this kind of music, and I didn't like it at first. When I first heard this band, I think the first song I heard was I Hate Everything About You, and it didn't immediately grab me. But as time went on, I heard more of their other songs. I started really noticing that this band stood out quite a bit from the rest of the crowd. They had different style riffs, and Adam's voice just didn't sound like anybody else. He had a very unique style, still does have a very unique style. And what really won me over is my daughter begged me to take her to see these guys live. It was like Flyleaf, Chevelle, and then these guys headlining, and I was like 8th row. Well, I shouldn't say row, it was like general seating. We were about 8 rows back, kinda. And these guys blew me away live. I just couldn't believe how good they were live, and I was like hooked from that point on. I really took notice. A couple of other my friends had started like listening to them. Actually, one of my buddies burned a copy of one of their earlier CDs for me, and I like a mix he just made of a bunch of different songs and gave it to me, and I was like, all right, they're actually really good. So I've been kind of like really into them since then. And then actually I can remember when Adam announced he was leaving, I was like, what? Like, you gotta be kidding me. I was one of those people that was really upset about that. Now Saint Asonia, his other band that he's gone on to do, is actually sounds a lot like earlier 3 Days Grace. So luckily I like that stuff. It's not quite the same, but it's similar, and his voice is very cool, and I really like the stuff he did. And he was kind of the main songwriter. I know all the guys wrote, but he was kind of the one that I gravitated to the songs that he did. So anyway, when I found out he's coming back, I thought, cool. The thing that's weird about this is that they still have their other singer that took over for him, and they just decided they're going to do this with 2 singers, so why not? So anyway, the funny thing is when Matt took over singing, I think it was in 2013 if I'm not mistaken, I heard the first few things. Matt Waltz, I believe is how you pronounce it, his brother's in the band, plays bass. I think I'm getting all that right anyway. I'm kind of reading my own notes. I can't read my own writing. But anyway, so when he took over and I heard the first release that they had done with him, the whole sound of the band was different. Not just the vocals, like the whole style seemed like it was a lot more, I want to say synthesized, if that makes any sense. It was just kind of different. It was more electronic sounding to me. It didn't sound like a rock band to me anymore, and I kind of really lost interest, and I got like a couple of the albums. I think they did 4 with Matt, and I really lost interest, gotta be honest. I didn't get it, all of them. I've got a couple, I don't remember which ones I got, listened to them, didn't care for them, and never went back to them. So when I heard that Adam's come back, I'm like, okay, the writing style will hopefully go back to that. So long story short, the songwriting does have a lot more of the earlier sound of these guys. It's like there's riffs in there. I've heard a little bit of Riot in one of the songs. I'm like, oh, they're getting a little tricky there with that. I've only listened to this album about 2 times through, so I'm kind of like a little fuzzy on which song I heard that in. I think it was in the middle of the album there, and I can't remember which song it was, but I remember hearing that, thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. That's a little nod to the old there. And overall, I would say this album has that. There's short songs. There's between 3.5 to 4.5 minutes long, kind of somewhere in that ballpark. 12 songs, 41 minutes long. perfect album length for me at this point in my life. 12 songs, they're not gonna, take one idea and let it drag on for too long. But the majority of it is that upbeat stuff that we like to hear from these guys. The title track is actually really, that one kind of starts with a really weird, odd beat, and kind of shifts into something that a little bit different than that I've heard from them before, and it still has a little bit of that electronic feel here and there. I did like hearing Adam's voice again in there, and no disrespect to Matt at all, but like the parts of the album I enjoyed the most were when Adam was singing. They did do some cool stuff here, and where they traded vocal parts back and forth. The first single that they released, I can't think of the name of which one that was now. I remember hearing it when it first came out, and I'm like drawing a blank. But anyway, Mayday. It was called Mayday. Jeez. I actually want to see when I try to take notes and prepare for these things, I do even worse. So maybe I should just go back to the old ways of not preparing at all. But anyway, yeah, that's that song. I actually cheated and I listened to that one a month or two ago when it came out, and I actually really thought that was cool. I didn't want to ruin the experience of the album, listening to it for the first time. So that's all I did, was listen to that one. And the majority of the album does follow that style. There's a couple times where Matt's singing a lot more than Adam in a couple of different other one songs, and I have to be honest, those are the ones that I like the least. There's a couple that I think that on here they would classify as a ballad possibly, but not really. There's nothing that's really super slow on here. Most of the album's pretty darn heavy, and that's where I get to the one thing I don't like about the album is that there's times where I don't know if they're just trying to be heavy. I was gonna say it's so heavy that it's gets a little muddy. Like there's a lot going on. There's like a lot of different sounds happening, not all like music instruments like guitar, bass, drums, singing, just effects, noise, sound effects thrown in. That a lot of this newer production does, and I'm not a big fan of that. I like when bands just sound like rock bands. A lot of these, and that's how, unfortunately, these guys kind of got thrown into what I was trying to avoid saying was that butt rock category, and I know why bands get thrown into that category because of the production. It has a lot to do with it, and this album suffers a lot from that, and the fact that they used so much effects on Adam's voice. This was driving me nuts on here. There's so much, like he doesn't have to be auto-tuned. He doesn't need all that extra on his voice to make him sound. It takes away from his uniqueness, and maybe that's partially why I didn't get into Matt singing when he first started, because I remember noticing that right from the start when he joined the band. Very processed, a lot of auto-tuning going on. It just takes, for me, it just sucks the life out of the singing. In fact, even when it comes to drums and guitar and bass, especially drums, when they're quantized like exactly to the beat, you lose all the feel. And a lot of these new production techniques do that. A lot of these bands in this category have done that. Bands, I don't want to name any names, but you know what I'm talking about. They use a lot of samples, and so they're not even using actual drums that they recorded. They're just using samples that are in a library, and the drums that were recorded are just triggering the sample. So I don't know, I'm just kind of babbling on. That kind of like, it just drives me crazy because for me, it sucks the life out of it. I don't know that some people think it makes it sound more energetic. For me, it does the opposite. When I can feel, or hear the feeling in the music, when I hear string noise and the breaths between, and even when you bend into notes when you're singing, and especially on guitar too, you want to hear that non-preciseness every now and then to make it just sounds like a band. So I don't know, maybe I sound like an old man screaming at the clouds, but that's just kind of for me what happened on here. The production stole a lot of the energy away from me, and what I thought could have been a way, way better album. Still a good album nonetheless. I actually did enjoy listening to it. I'm gonna keep listening to it. The production of it does suck a little bit of the life out of it for me. So that's my only, obviously, really big complaint. But you know, the good thing is, if they play these songs live, I would like to see these guys live. And if they release anything live, because they used to do release a lot of live stuff, you know, extras here and there. I'd like to hear what these songs sound like live, because I think they'll actually probably sound better, quite honestly. But anyway, I'm going on and on and on way longer than I intended to. That's my quick take on this one. As always, I welcome comments. You may completely disagree with me, which is fine. This is all this is. It's just opinion. That's all it is, and that was my opinion on this one. You know, they get people to get very mad sometimes, and that's not at all what this is about. This is just all opinion. You can disagree with me all you want. Nothing to fight about. But it is what it is. That's mine. And feel free to share yours. That's all this is for, is just discussing what we think of the music. And like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because I know these guys got a lot of life left in them, and I can't wait to hear what they do next. I don't know if they'll keep doing this dual vocal thing, but you know, I would like to catch these guys live. I think that would be a very interesting show, especially to hear what they do with the older stuff. You know, who knows how they're going to mix that up. You know, the songs that just had one of them singing on them all the time, how they're going to mix that up. That would be a cool little thing. So anyway, that's all I got for right now, and until next time, we'll see you.